Welcome to episode 4 of Le Cigare Volant podcast. I'm your host Murph.
I'm Daggy. Goodness.
And we're two Irish brothers, Murph and Declan, just riding a wave of momentum. The ratings are through the roof for episode 1, 2 and 3.
Triple digits.
I don't know about you, but my bank account has been boosted by at least 4 digits since we started this episode, since we started this series.
I didn't know we were making money out of this.
I have been monopolising all of the income. So we're watching episode 4.
I'm sure you'll share it out once.
Season 1 of Frasier. I hate Frasier Crane. Now that may sound like something that I would say in an episode regularly.
A man who claims to love the show.
It's the do you know what? I've been too critical of the show throughout the first 3 episodes. I'm gonna lighten up a bit because it is.
You haven't been critical. You've been seething with anger.
Especially towards Niles of that last episode. I kept saying what was Marty's problem with the boys. What was my problem in that last episode?
You spent the first 15 minutes hating the boys, and then in the next, what's wrong with the boys?
Well, tell you what, we're just gonna kick back and lighten up like two chilled out dudes now.
Goodness gracious me.
Episode 4 of season 1. I hate Frasier Crane. October 7th, 93. Decky, I'm a big ratings man. I'm a big Nielsen ratings man. So
you like your numbers?
We all know that the first episode got 28.1, the second one got 29.2, last week was 28.7. What are we cooking with here?
After fixings, I'm assuming we're going back up.
Going slightly down, but still more than week 1, amazingly.
America didn't know what it had.
28.5. Most sitcoms dip drastically after week 1. Like Malcolm in the Middle had unbelievable ratings for the first few episodes and never picked up again, much as I love the show. But yeah, we're still beating week 1 here, 4 weeks in.
In the last episode, they were making fun of Marty for his clothes, and in this episode, Frasier's, I think, wearing the exact same cardigan.
Yeah, Frasier has aged drastically between Cheers and Frasier.
It's the beard. The beard added quite a few years.
The Crane mane complements the beard well, but the Crane mane by itself is an abomination.
It's pedophilic.
Can we claim the Crane mane for ourselves now, Critical Android?
It does. It does look like what a pedophile would have.
So you're listening to one of the top 10 Frasier podcasts that were uploaded on YouTube this week.
There's only 3.
We're in the top 10 for certain. Like, this episode was written by Christopher Lloyd. I say that name with reverence.
He played Doc in Back to the Future.
Christopher Lloyd is a man who eats, sleeps, and ejaculates sitcoms. Golden Girls, Frasier, Wings, Modern Family, of which he is the co-creator.
Talking about ejaculating? Let's get back to Golden Girls.
Some of your favourites there. No Golden Girls cameos in Frasier ever? No crossover episode?
Why would there be?
When did Golden Girls end? They all died.
It was a show, wasn't it? They're not all dead.
No, they all died right before Frasier started.
The curse. The curse of Frasier Crane.
Kelsey put a hex on the head of each Golden Girl.
And they put a hex on his head of hair.
He knew they would beat him in the ratings, and Kelsey don't like being beaten in the ratings. So like Christopher Lloyd.
He assembled some sort of like the Expendables type group to take out the 80-year-old women.
The man who ejaculates sitcoms. He's the son of a sitcom writer. A legendary sitcom writer. Davy Lloyd, as he's better known.
He's not the Prime Minister during World War I.
Yeah, he went on to write sitcoms later. He wrote for the Mary Tyler Moore Show, the Betty White Show. Speaking of Golden Girls, Moore. That's
so Irish.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Mary Tyler Moore.
We will march in Portadown. He wrote for Mary Tyler Moore.
You think I'd gone away?
The Cigar Volant podcast hasn't gone away, you know. He wrote Betty White Show, Taxi, Cheers, Wings, and yes, Frasier. Yeah, I didn't know apparently Betty White had her own show.
Called The Betty White Show?
Yeah.
Odd.
I know you're a massive Betty White fan.
I do love Betty.
Do you prefer
but
Betty?
Old Betty.
Betty or Jane Leaves? Who would you rather marry?
Who did I fuck? Betty?
Fuck, marry, kill. Betty White, Jane Leaves, Perry Gilpin, aka Roz.
Well, you just read out the order.
Oh.
Fuck Betty, marry Jane, kill Roz.
You would rather marry Daphne than Roz. You joking me, Daggy?
No.
You're having a laugh?
Well, we're talking about the people, not the actual characters, aren't we?
There is a brilliant Twitter called the Synth Movement Feminist, I think it's called. Now, I might be wrong. But they had a theory that they posted to us on Twitter during the week. That Niles is a sexual submissive. That the arc of the whole series is Niles is a sexual submissive looking to find a dominatrix. Morris dominates him, Mel dominates him, Daphne dominates him. She's not wrong.
She's
He's
not
not. I
wrong.
don't know. I assume it's a woman because it's a feminist.
Yeah.
But they're not wrong.
Daphne did some weird shit, didn't she?
See, when they do that whole yoga episode, Nels is clearly cucked when the yoga guy is teaching them moves and he keeps touching Daphne. Anyway,
Made a
so
weird face.
Christopher Lloyd also was a writer for Frasier itself. That is, up until his death in 2009. So he retired from writing for the show in 2001. He hasn't written for a single show since his death.
Really?
Yeah, surprising, isn't it? Do you know what I've always wondered in this episode, Decky? Who calls in as the celebrity voice of the man who hates Frasier Crane? Who is it?
Believe it's Fat Tony himself, James Gandolfini.
Joe Mantegna?
Joe Montagana.
Was he in The Godfather 3?
He was.
Yeah.
What was his character's name? Character's name?
Fat Tony.
Joey Zaza.
I have a question for you.
Joey Zaza.
Now, my co-host Declan here, he's not only a massive Frasier fan, he's a massive Godfather fan.
I am.
And I have a question for you.
Not really the third, but
Seems to be a recurring theme of our episodes. Decky, I have a question for you.
yep.
Who would Frasier be in The Godfather? If he was a character, not Kelsey, who would Frasier be?
Frasier in The Godfather. In The Godfather Part 2, there's a corrupt senator
Already I'm agreeing.
who tries to outsmart Michael Corleone, and Michael Corleone destroys his life
Yeah.
and uses him a bitch. That would be Frasier. If you mix Frasier and Niall together, it would be him. Quick intermission while Paul pours another vodka.
Already I'm saying this episode's been better than it.
Frasier's doing an odd accent. I hate Frasier Crane. Oh, he's got the makeup. That's odd. Rare, very rare. Frasier stands up. Hugh Montagna's quite a small man.
Yet in this episode they say he's so big he could play a movie on his back. Do you reckon that was his Napoleon syndrome kicking in and he insisted on not being in the script?
Joe wrote that line.
I think the co-writer of this episode, along with Christopher Lloyd and Papa Lloyd, is Joe Mantegna.
Joe M.
His pseudonym.
Joey M.
Hey, there's always title cards in Frasier.
Yeah.
There was one there that just said "yeah" with an exclamation mark. Episode 4, are they already getting lazy?
They're already out of ideas.
So Fat Tony's on the blower. Frasier, you're saying in The Godfather would be a pathetic figure.
Yeah. You know, you think he would be smarter than everyone, and then he would get destroyed.
I have a theory for you. Frasier, the character, and probably Kelsey Grammer, the man, they would hate the Itals. They would hate Guidos. They would hate that whole Italian-American culture.
What do I call him? What's the hateful name they call them?
We were trying to think of this the other day. If anybody who's listening, and
Anyone out there hates Italians?
apparently there's a few thousand of you, if the ratings report is accurate. Anybody who hates Italians, what's a terrible term to describe an Italian-American? So in this episode, Decky, Marty's trying to solve the murder of a prostitute that he worked on back in his cop days.
Massive breach of protocol, by the way. When Marty takes those files out,
How so?
you're not allowed to do that. They have to stay. They have to stay within the precinct.
Seems to be a recurring joke in Frasier that Marty is a highly corrupt police officer.
How else could he afford that fancy cane?
Do you know apparently the Me Too movement started with somebody calling out Marty Crane? So, you know the way it never reveals how Hester, the mother of Niles and Frasier, died? I have a theory for you here, Decky.
Yeah.
This is my favorite. This is why Frasier's my favorite character. When he gets so up his own arse, when he can't accept the fact that he is pompous and sanctimonious, as the line said.
He's wearing a 3-piece tweed suit.
I
How much more pompous can you be?
deeply appreciate how Frasier always dressed to the absolute gills. Speaking of gills, there's Perry Gilpin looking well.
That's a nice segue. That was a nice segue.
I think Roz saved that show from being an absolute catastrophe. In character, I'm not talking about Perry Gilpin. I'm talking about Roz and Frasier. Frasier on the air is the least professional man in the history of radio or podcasting. And I say
Well,
this
you're
as we
talking about the
sit-
Frasier Crane radio show, not Frasier the show.
Yeah, I mean Frasier Crane, the KACL call-in show. Yeah, as we sit here drinking vodka and doing a podcast, he's the least professional man in the history of broadcasting.
The goddamn disgrace.
He's a psychiatrist who constantly makes light of people's mental deficiencies.
Yeah. someone phones up. Oh, here's Joe.
He's offered him a square go, as they call it in Glasgow.
A fair dig.
A fair dig, as we call it
Fair dig, as it's
in our
known
doing.
A fucking fair dig, Frasier. Have it.
Frasier in general is an abomination of a man.
He's a beast of a man, as we've already made known.
As a recurring theme is. Like, this week I found a very interesting quote on... I found it through Twitter, actually. And it's about how the hypocrisy of... It's about the hypocrisy of Frasier divorcing Lilith and going across the country to live his own life.
First of all, Lilith divorced him.
Oh, there's the Cheers fan.
And she made it quite well known.
But they did have a son together, and he chose not to move
Did he?
across the road.
Never heard of him.
Certainly, that's your Frasier talking there. Yeah. So I'm
Son.
gonna attribute this quote to Andrea Idso.
Big Andy. How about you, man?
Another thought that struck me relates to Frasier living across the country from his son Frederick, who lives in Boston. Frasier sees Frederick at Christmas, the odd Thanksgiving, and at Frederick's bar mitzvah.
Mazel tov.
In 11 seasons, we see Frederick in 9 episodes. That's an amazing fact, by the way.
Did the homework.
And a couple of times, Frasier talks to him on the phone.
Pathetic.
Talk about lazy sitcom writing.
They wouldn't pay the child.
They wouldn't give that poor child like the
You're
payday.
a fucking disgrace, NBC.
Overall,
You give Jerry Seinfeld all that money, and you won't give a few quid to the
they
kid.
couldn't give Freddie a couple of shekels. Overall, it's easy for viewers to forget that Frasier has a son. It's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's so already mentioned. But if Frasier were a woman whose son was growing up 3,000 miles away with the same amount of contact, she'd be seen as abandoning her child. Viewers would be unlikely to watch such a show. I agree totally. When when Cheers ended, they were looking for spin-offs. If they'd given Lilith a spin-off where she moved across the country back to her old family and Frasier was left looking after Freddie, it would be viewed as an abomination. Andrea Idso, I think that's a fantastic quote.
Was early mid-90s, no one would have watched this show.
You haven't even mentioned the most controversial moment of this entire episode, which we were talking about in our preparation for the episode. Niall saves an article about growing prize-winning Zydians by who?
Iron cunt.
Margaret Thatcher, the fucking murderer herself.
Fucking destroyed the middle class in England, sent hundreds of thousands into poverty, and watched Bobby Sands starve himself to death.
Genuine question, Decky, and obviously we're two proud Irishmen who feel very strongly about that. Do you think Niles... Pretend Niles and Frasier, etc. are real people. Etc. Pretend Frasier's real. Do you think they would know about the damage that Margaret Thatcher caused?
No.
I think they would.
Fucking... A lot of the English still don't know the damage it caused.
But
They just fucking blank it out. But anyway, let's move on to the famine. And let's really get angry.
Her murder of the hunger strikers. What would Frasier
Well,
think about the hunger strikers?
Didn't murder them. She
Don't.
watched them die.
No,
Fuck.
she did murder them. Because she gave in to every single one of their demands afterwards, but didn't want to be seen to be giving in to their demands, so it was murder.
What a cunt.
Here's a question that I don't like to ask.
Oh, but it's going to happen anyway.
Are Frasier and Niles Thatcherites?
Yeah.
I think they would be as well.
Actually-
I don't think Marty would be. You can see the disgust on Marty's face when Niles mentioned Margaret Thatcher. I think Marty would. I think Marty, way back in the day, the Ra used to do like whip arounds to get like funds from abroad. I think Marty probably chucked in a few
Aye.
bucks. Yeah.
For the folks back home.
Yeah.
That's the difference between politics over there in America and here.
Yeah.
Frasier and not. They do that episode where Frasier backs this guy and he turns out to believe in aliens.
Yeah.
But that guy's like the Democrat, isn't he? He's the liberal candidate.
Yeah.
And Marty
Yeah.
supports the Republican candidate. You would say Margaret Thatcher is as far as you can be from liberal.
She's the most right wing you could possibly be.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. I think Republican. No, Joe, I don't even.
This is getting odd. That's
come
perfect
on.
for Frasier.
Right, right.
Do.
Would the boys support Theresa May?
Margaret Thatcher light.
Now we know that
Margaret
Niles
Thatcher without the balls.
Niles spends his life looking for a dominatrix, but I don't think Margaret Thatcher has any sort of Margaret Thatcher. I don't think Theresa May has the natural dominance that Niles looks for. So I don't think the boys would support Theresa May. But
if he wanted a dominatrix, why wouldn't he be clinging on to Ross?
no, Ross was no dominatrix, Decky.
She'd be all over him.
No, Ross was a strong, independent woman who liked to have a strong man. Niles is a fucking
What strong man?
Roger,
Who?
the garbage man.
That's not insult the lower class.
And Ross also is in love with Frasier. Let's not forget, somewhat.
A beefcake.
And
of a
Frasier
man.
is a.
Look at him rolling up his sleeves.
He's ready to
Wow.
scrap here. Wait, one last question.
Niles fixes his cuticles.
Frasier's left wing, Kelsey's right wing. That's pretty much accepted. What do you think Frasier, not Kelsey, would think of Jeremy Corbyn?
They all do the same thing, don't they? They're like, this sounds good. And then they look at Corbyn like, this isn't good. He says the right things, but he does the wrong things.
I'm the question master in these episodes, Decky. I've got another one for
You're
you.
the one that makes the notes. I just show up and get drunk.
Why is Frasier afraid to fight? He's built like a tank. If he trained properly, I think he could. Frasier came out in 1994, right?
If Frasier took 6 months off and scheduled to fight For 6 months later, Frasier have a good chance of winning this.
Frasier came out in 94. UFC started in 93. See if he trained properly, he could have become the first ever UFC heavyweight champion.
See if he shaved that dome.
This was during the period where Mike Tyson was in jail. See if Frasier
Rip.
trained properly, he could have been the man to face Mike Tyson in his
He
90s
could have been the
pop.
man to replace Mike Tyson. It would have been Frasier that bit off Evander Holyfield's ear. Look at this. Now, Joe Montana is a small man. And look at the size of Frasier Crane. Just fucking grab him. Put him on the floor and don't let him get up.
To wind up this week's episode, Decky, I have a
Wind
shock.
down.
To wind down this week's episode, Decky,
The wrap up.
I've got a shock weekly discovery. Maybe every week I'll try to find one for you.
Here we go.
This will shock you. John Lithgow turned down the
Lithgow.
role of Frasier Crane when he was supposed to start off in Cheers. He thought weekly episodic television comedy was beneath him, as he was a theatre actor.
Oh.
Beneath my dignity, he later quoted saying, "Oh, how different life would be, Declan." Sure, he never went on to do anything.
Sure. He never went on to do any.
Yeah,
Well-
John Lithgow turned down the role of being Frasier on Cheers.
Well, he went on to be in the starring role of a sitcom called Third Rock from the Sun.
When he discusses this, it's very tongue-in-cheek. He admits, I
And
thought
I
was
saw
above
all
it.
that money.
Yeah. I don't think it would be a smash with anybody but
Theatre
Kelsey.
do not pay you that.
Kelsey is Frasier.
Yeah.
This is where my love of the show, so I've complained about the
Frasier
show
is
a lot.
Kelsey, and he can't run away from it.
I think Kelsey embodies Frasier so much. He is a living, breathing Frasier, and I love it.
Think of everything else he's done and has been a catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
Has there been a luckier man alive?
Did you
to
say that
find
that show
Frasier?
Boss Kelsey was in was actually pretty good?
It was pretty good, but it got cancelled after one season. And he won an award. He won like Best Actor, Emmy or something,
Oh, really? Yeah.
for a dramatic role.
Do you know what? Frasier is an absolute darling of the Emmys. It sweep the boards year after year.
Year after year.
But the fact that Always Sunny
David
lost
Hyde
out-
Pierce.
Always Sunny loses out, The Modern Family and Big Bang Theory year on year, just it invalidates the Emmys.
It
Surely.
doesn't even get nominated.
It doesn't even get on. There was that episode of Always Sunny that's about the fact they never get nominated.
But yeah, did Seinfeld get nominated?
Oh, Seinfeld definitely won.
Did they
nom-
win?
I don't know if they won actually, but they definitely got nominated.
Because
Yeah.
Frasier kept racking up the wins.
So as we're winding up episode 4 here, Declan, one more bit of trivia for you. This is the first
Good.
reference to their childhood bully, Billy Kriesel.
Oh, I remember that. He shows up.
I have a question for you. How would Niles and Frasier have fared at Holy Cross Boys School?
I'd know. Quite well. We weren't nasty.
Would young Niles have been mere cannon
I won't
fodder?
say his name, but I do remember a boy who was very similar to Niles,
Yeah.
and he was quite liked. We all liked him very much. You've made us out to be nasty children there. It's just simply not true. They would not have fared well at St. Malachy's because we were all quite nasty then.
Would young Niles have been mere cannon fodder for the local priest?
Dear God.
Just an appetizer before feasting on the main meal of Frasier.
Frasier. A big piece of steak that was young Frasier Crane.
We have serious issues with the Catholic Church here in Ireland.
And we'll discuss them tonight.
This has been episode 4. I've been Murph,
I've been Tacky.
and we'll see you next time.